Right. How are we doing out there, everybody? Welcome on into the Richmond post race show. Uh, you know what? I know that people are probably not a fan of the winner, right? I know people are probably going to go off. Totally get it. But that was an awesome, awesome, in my opinion, race at Richmond in total. I personally thought that was actually probably one of the best Richmond races in a long time. That was a desperately needed good, I'll say great race. I thought it was a great race. Let me know out of 10 what you thought of this race. I'm seeing people that are upset. I'm seeing people that are happy. I'm seeing people that are all over the place with this race. I get it. Totally get it. I know the Austin Dillon side of it, but there was so much going on in this race. And we got, by the way, for those who are wondering, we do have the poll up on the post section of the channel. So go ahead and vote on there. Personally, though, I'd probably give it an 8 or 9. I think this was a desperately needed good race. And I listen, we'll talk about the playoff side of it. We'll talk about, all of that aspect of it. Of course, NBC talks about it. But you can't deny that was a compelling race pretty much from start to finish. From start to finish of this night, in my opinion, there was always something going on, something that kept you into it. You really didn't know who was going to win until about the end of that last run. And to be fair, again, we will talk all about the implications and all that other stuff with the three. But that team executed. The team executed. They were great again. It wasn't a fluke last year at Richmond. Austin Dillon's been good at Richmond before, but last year and this year are just so out there different compared to those races. But they did it right. And you know what? He won it the right way. I got to say that we will dogpile on RCR, and I'm sure people will call me a hater when I nitpick at some things and whatnot in a bit. But he won it the right way, just like he was going to last year. Let's not forget, even before, how stupid the end of last year's race was. Like, he was on his way to winning this thing fair and square. Did the same thing this year. You can't hate on that part of it when it comes to a driver winning. We can hate on everything else surrounding it, sure, and we'll talk about it. But got to give credit where it's due. So let's talk about the race here, the 2025 Cookout 400 at Richmond. This race was 3 hours, 11 minutes, 14 seconds long for 400 laps, 5 cautions with 44 caution laps and 24 lead changes. Austin Dillon is your winner tonight at the 3/4 mile track. He wins by 2.471 seconds over Alex Bowman, who was hard charging at the end. They just talked about it a moment ago, and I think they're showing the playoffs right now. And it's pretty cut and dry, y'all. Everybody needs to win. If there's a new winner, though, it will be interesting with the Reddick side of things, and we'll pop that up in a moment. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie. It's pretty cut and dry. Everyone, for the most part, needs to win, and Bowman needs to try and make sure he's ahead of Reddick at all times. There's not much more to it. Going through the finishing order here, 3rd place, Ryan Blaney. Really good run for him tonight. Then you got Joey Logano in the 4th spot. Austin Cindric 5th. Kyle Larson in 6th. 7th is Suarez. Then Barry Keselowski and Dennis Hamlin in the top 10. Zane Smith 11th. William Byron and Chase Briscoe 12th and 13th round out those on the lead lap. Shane Van Gisbergen 14th, a lap down, but impressive run. I got to give that shout out to Shane Van Gisbergen. Impressive for the limited experience he has in these cars, in stock car racing in general. I have been very vocal that I think in order for him to really belong in NASCAR, on top of winning these races, he needs to improve at the ovals. And you know what? I think tonight he proved that he can really race with the best of them. At different points was contending for a near top 10 spot. Great improvement by his part. I thought he was going to get that top 10 tonight. Carson Hocevar, team execution is what let him down tonight from a way better finish, 15th. Kyle Busch, 16th. We'll talk about him and his wrecking ball antics. Michael McDowell, 17th. Ty Gibbs, 18th. Ross Chastain and Ty Dillon round out the top 20. Then Christopher Bell, bunch of mistakes ruin his chance at a victory tonight in 21st. AJ Allmendinger, Ricky Stenhouse, Cole Custer, Todd Gilliland, the top 25. Then Eric Jones and Noah Gragson, along with Bubba Wallace, round out those a lap down from 26th to 28th. 2 laps down, Corey Heim, 29th over Chris Buescher in 30th. 31st, Riley Herbst. 32nd, Cody Ware. And then 3 laps down for Jesse Love in 33rd and Tyler Reddick in 34th. 4 laps down for the pole sitter tonight, Ryan Preece, who just, all in all, laid an egg tonight after everything that happened and being collected in issues. 35th on the night. 11 laps down for John Hunter Nemechek in 36th. And then the last 2 finishers out of the race, Justin Haley and Chase Elliott. Again, like I said, through the night, there were plenty that led a lot of laps. I'm just scrolling through. 60 laps led for Ryan Preece. 41 laps led for Tyler Reddick. 123 laps led for Bubba Wallace tonight. Of course, you had others that cycled through. 6 laps led for Michael McDowell. 10 for Hocevar. And of course, others, 2 for Brad Keselowski. 1 for Suarez. 9 for Larson. 2 for Cindric. 39 for Ryan Blaney, and 107 laps led tonight for Austin Dillon. All right, I know we're going to put it on the bottom here. I know that people are going to hate on him, but let's talk about Austin Dillon tonight with this win. I think there's plenty to talk about, and we will get to all of the major points with it. But with the Austin Dillon side of it, there is this. That team in general needed a kick in the ass to get it jump started. RCR in general needed to. This is the best medicine. A year ago is really when we started talking about RCR just going basically in this downward spiral for a year, to borrow from a friend of the channel, buddy of ours, Emplement, just a downward spiral. It has not been a good year to date since Richmond last year. When you look at everything that's happened since, when you look at that. So I think it's really good for this team to kind of have a palate cleanse, have this win, get some momentum, both with the playoff side of it. And we'll talk again, I'm about to get to that, as well as through the end of the season and building to next year. I think he came in here tonight 28th in points. Again, I hold the same statements that I have for Harrison Burton last year, Shane Van Gisbergen being low in points, all of that. I don't think Austin Dillon should be competing for a championship. I don't think that should be what we talk about from this. It's going to be the big story that all of the media heads talk about this week for the next 7 days before Daytona. But I think what we should talk about is Austin Dillon going out and earning a win. Somebody who, let's be honest, the fan base has rightfully vilified over the last 10 years for his lack of performance. And when you look at the others that are around him that have performed better, Ryan Newman has performed better than him in this. Tyler Reddick, has performed better. Kyle Busch has performed better. And yes, they all should perform better. But my point is that should be what we talk about in this, is the fact that they went out, a team that has not been good all year, and managed to perform and redeem themselves in a way. I think that should be the main point that we talk about in this. I mean, because at the end of the day, with the speed that they had, I don't think anyone else really deserved to win as much as the 3 tonight. Just like last year, they came on strong at the end and rightfully deserve praise for all of that. Now, I will talk a little about the playoff side of it. I'm not going to dwell on this for too long because I've beaten this to death for the last 8 years on this channel. But like I said, I don't think he should be in there. I think the win enough should be something that's a huge boost. I think it's Busher will be the odd one out in all of this. He definitely deserves a spot over the 3. I think just about everybody over the 3 deserves a spot more than them. I don't hate Austin Dillon for it. Hate the game. Don't hate the player, hate the game. All right. I don't want. There's been plenty to hate on with Austin Dillon. I am not going to pile on a bunch of hate this week. I don't think it's warranted. I don't. I think that at the end of the day, they deserve the praise that they should rightfully be getting. I don't want to be super negative on the whole thing on it. So that's what I got to say about that. Now, I want to talk, before we talk about more specific people, I want to talk about stuff that went on in this race. And the big one here, I want to put another bit of praise to Goodyear tonight. Goodyear tires have been the talk of this season. If you listen to a lot of different media heads and you listen to a lot of the radio side of things, or you listen to a lot of the big NASCAR media side, I know Bianchi was getting on this for a bit. He, talking about tires, because we're stuck with the car and all that. Listen, they delivered. And I think rightfully should be getting a ton of praise as well for that. I think, listen, tonight to me was a positive night, and we have not had positive races like this in a while. Like, Atlanta's the last one I think people universally love of this season, and that was all the way back in June. We are almost to the end of August. All right. I'm not going to sit here and complain all night. I want there to be some positivity for once in this damn sport. And you know what? Goodyear deserves a ton of that positivity, because the tires fell off normally tonight. It wasn't like they just were the same, fall off a cliff. No, it was a gradual, it was kind of like and then like that. It wasn't fall off a cliff. It was sort of like a progressive slope of regression when it came to the grip of the tires. And that is Richmond. That is the Richmond I grew up with tonight. To me, that is. This, and I put it in the title, was classic Richmond racing. This was the best of keeping your stuff together, the best when it came to those on pit road with the tire strategy and the pit stops. And we saw teams cost different drivers shots at the win. We saw different strategies cost drivers shots at the win. And we saw drivers that went too hard and they had better tires or better cars. Look at Ryan Blaney, for instance, who fell off hard at the end because they didn't take care of their stuff. This was Richmond. I'm going to say this as a matter of fact statement. If you did not enjoy tonight's race, you would have never loved Richmond. This is the Richmond that I grew up with in the 2000s. This is the Richmond I grew up with in the early 2010s. This is Gen 4 COT days level Richmond. This is the racing I've been missing from this track, in front of a sold out grandstand, in front of a pretty I think impassioned base online, from what I saw of people being incredibly happy with this race. I loved just about every single thing about this race. This is why I love watching races just for individual races, is because you get great races like this. You get great moments. This track has been on a downward slide for a while. I mean, how many of y'all did I see in the chat? And yes, and I want this. This is true. I agree. Fix the car. Yes, we can talk. We'll talk about the car probably later this year. Trust me. We'll probably talk about it next week after Daytona, or after the Southern 500, or Gateway, or definitely Bristol, right? But tonight, everything worked really well. Whatever they did tonight on the Goodyear side, what NASCAR can get data-wise, they need to bring back next year for whenever Richmond is. It sounds like it could be early in the year, could maybe be later in the year again. Whenever Richmond is, replicate it, run it at night in the middle of the summer if you have to, just to make sure the racing's good. This, to me, this is probably the best Richmond race overall that I can remember since 2014 spring race. I think it's been that long. I have not really enjoyed Richmond as a track for a while. It was hit or miss in the COT and early Gen 6 days. It's been kind of mediocre or bad since then. This, to me, this was an 8 or 9. And maybe that's because we have been through the doldrums of this summer in 2025. It's been a rough season to be a NASCAR fan. Let's be real. Maybe that's inflating my score. Maybe it is, but I love the strategy. I love at the end, you had guys on 3-stop strategies in the stages, 2-stop strategies, 1 stop. At the end, you had guys on 2 and 3-stop strategies. I absolutely loved what came here tonight. And I think that while there are things we can nitpick, we can talk again, we talk about the playoffs, we can talk about who the winner is, we can talk about different issues here and there or lap traffic. I don't think that we have anything really that bad in the grand scheme of things to look at. And I like it a lot. I believe William Byron has all but, I have it muted just so the copyright side of it, so we can all stay here and chat about the race. But I'm pretty sure he locked up the regular season title, if not like pretty close. So that's, I have a feeling next week's Daytona race is going to be insane. I think it is because Reddick and Bowman can race points wise, but pretty much everybody in the field is going to go all out for a win. It's going to be the most straight up going for a win race, just normal kind of race in that sense in a while, where basically everybody out there outside of the 45 and the 48 has nothing to lose next week, right? You could see a giant ass crash. You could see people doing whatever. The summer race tends to be better than the Daytona 500. I'm holding out hope we can get a little momentum built in. But man, I'm on a high right now. I'm on a high. It's been a while since I've had this much. Yeah, so he has clinched it. It's been a while since I've had this much fun with the Richmond race. About 250 laps into this race, I legitimately was watching and like just in a brief moment, I was like, damn, this reminds me of like mid 2000s Richmond. This is the Richmond I used to really get excited for. I don't know if it's going to be replicated, but I feel like this is much better and has much of a much better chance of being replicated than say Bristol Spring last year did. And if they can find something here, maybe that means make Iowa a night race next year. If it is on the schedule, maybe make sure that means that similar tracks to this, you try and replicate the situation in some way. I hope that there's something here. If not, even just for Richmond, I hope it's just, Richmond, man. I really do. Like, I hope that in some way we've got sort of a formula we can build from this. Looking at some of the other big moments, a really big moment I want to talk about, and this is when we looked at Kyle Busch realizing, maybe not realizing that last week was the Go Bowling weekend. The big one. We have to talk about the big one tonight. So they get it back restarted around halfway. It's looking like a generally normal restart, but there's some contact through the pack. There's some 3 and 4 wide racing, and that something is brewing, right? And a lot of y'all that were watching in the chat, and I saw some of y'all in here on the Twitter side of things, were like, oh my God, this happened at Richmond. Like, man, this was a thing that would happen at Richmond every like 3 to 5 years back in the day. And this was why, again, it did feel classic Richmond. It was not overboard or overkill to me, but I mean, I remember 2008 had a wreck like this. 2011 did. I think both 2011 races did, if I'm not mistaken. And we had one here. So Kyle Busch is 3 wide, I believe, with the 1 and the 6. They all make contact. Entering the corner, he ends up hitting the 19. A bunch of cars get brought into it. Once the 8 is out of it, he goes down the track. I don't in any way think this is intentional. I know a lot of Elliott fans are very angry, and rightfully so. You should be angry. But a lot of Elliott fans are rightfully angry about it. He goes down Busch goes down the track, and I think accidentally right rear hooks the 9 up into the fence, into the 24, ends the 9's night. The first DNF of the season for Chase Elliott. I believe Chase Elliott, if I'm not mistaken, finished all but one lap up until lap like 200 of tonight this season. Just like an insane consistent run. But that all but locked up on top of the other issues for front runners, that all but locked up the regular season championship right then and there for William Byron. But you know, I was genuinely shocked to see Kyle Busch have like that bad of a sequence of events, man. And I jokingly made a few tweets joking at him. It's just fun to poke the bear. You know, but like that's just that there's no other way around it. Like you got to criticize somebody for making that bad of a move. And that was, I mean, this is not the Kyle Busch that this is not the Kyle Busch that we grew up with. There's a reason I picked him as my suck pick this week. I have no faith in Kyle Busch at this point. Like he's a shell of his former self. And unfortunately, about 13 cars paid the price for it. The 9 and the 7 getting the worst of it. They were out of the race tonight. Totally get Elliott fans having rage at that. Like it was completely avoidable and just a complete lack of awareness moment by the 8. But, you know, we have these wrecks sometimes at Richmond. This track, I mean, you go back, you look up Richmond wrecks. I think it's like 2016 or 17 had a wreck like this as well. These happen a lot here. Looking at the last run of the race too, again, like I said, I loved the battle between Blaney and Austin Dillon. I love the fact that you could pass people through the night, even if you had 4-lap difference of tires. There was the difference in order to get you by, but even people that were on even tires could pass each other. This didn't feel like a next-gen era race because of this. When you looked at the strategy, when you looked at the tires side of it, when you looked at just the overall racing, at one point they showed the overhead view, and well, a few times they did, and I think they were very well used. I want to say NBC, I think, did a great job tonight. I was very critical the last 2 weeks of NBC. I think they dropped the ball the last 2 weeks compared to the standard they've set. I think that tonight that they were really on it. Lee Diffie got a few drivers wrong. Definitely need to clean that up a little bit, but like that happens to every announcer at different points. We're doing the NWP 400 tomorrow night on John's channel, and around this time will probably be the finish. John or I are probably at one point going to get a driver wrong, so you can't be perfect on that. I really liked what they did. I want to say the lines that they could use, like Austin Dillon with that exit out of 4, and he'd stay so low on the track. Like he really found something. It very much reminded me, and it's going to be weird comparing these two because they're on such different calibers of drivers, but it kind of reminded me when Kevin Harvick just found his line at Atlanta and dominated for a while and just had it on lock and nobody could figure it out. You know, it was really awesome seeing the difference of driving that the 3 and the 12 had. Shane Van Gisbergen, I talked about him earlier, gave him a ton of rightful praise. Shane Van Gisbergen, he was riding the fence. Like the 88 is on the fence. Is Dale Jr. back in 2008 doing this and he's making up time? I love the difference that we saw, and we saw it from so many different drivers. You could move around, find a different lane as the run went on, and it wasn't just one dominant lane at any one time. I think that's probably the key here is that you had the versatility of being able to choose where you could pass people. And I think that's, you know, again, that's probably why like Michigan's been so much better with this car, why the intermediates in general have, and a few other tracks over the years have been better with these cars. The ones that you look at that are good with this car, you're able to have the versatility and the driver's able to have that kind of control on where their race goes. And I think that that's probably the key of what we saw here tonight. Richmond is so worn out from where I think the surface is over 20 years old at this point. They haven't put the sealer on it in probably 20 years. That's probably what it is. I say, you know what, don't change a thing, because I thought last year's race was actually good before it just, you know, broke into acts of terrorism. Like, I thought that was good. I've honestly thought Richmond was decent, or at least a little better since about 22 or so. Not great, but better. And then last year I thought was good. I thought this was great. I leave it alone. Whatever it is. We're already down to one date. Leave it be. If people who are on the fence about going to Richmond next year, whether it's early in the year or in the summer, look at this as what pushes you over, right? That some other people I want to talk to, or talk about, as I see they're riding the Dente on the broadcast. Looking through, and I was talking about laps led tonight. The 2311 cars, until everything kind of went wrong, like they were on it. They were the only ones, I think, on the threes caliber tonight. Bubba Wallace led the most laps, 123 laps led. Unfortunately, problems under green flag pit stops completely nuke his night. That 23 team has a lot of speed. They seem to have figured things out. They were coming in on 4 top 10s in a row. They had the win at the Brickyard, which, again, just on its own was a great moment for Bubba Wallace and that team in general. Watch the 23 speed, because they've shown speed at Darlington before. I think that this track is very similar to what the racing at Gateway could be like. Maybe not as flat, but it's still a flatter oval like that with wider corners. That 23 team, if they get into that second round, don't count them out. Like, they're a sneaky good team right now. Reddick ran pretty well until he didn't. Priest, again, early in the day, Priest, I thought, was just going to go out there with the fact that I think that team always seems to get a little bit better as the night goes on, or day goes on, or race goes on. And they went out and led 60 laps right at the start. Maybe not the smartest move. I know what they were trying to do, and it seemed like it could work, but ultimately, it just, because of the car falling away and all that, it didn't. But I'm surprised of how bad the race ended up being at the end for him. I mean, that team fell back to 35th at the end. The only ones they beat were an 11 lap down John Hunter Nemechek, and then the aforementioned Haley and Elliott, who were out. So I'm surprised on that side of it. Alex Bowman, I think, much needed speed to show with that one. They're going to be on pins and needles next week. I showed the points before, and I have them on my end to look at. They're 29 behind Tyler Reddick. That could be made up at Daytona. If Tyler Reddick is caught in an early wreck and Alex Bowman just manages to get by it, he just needs stage points and a good top 10 finish points-wise to get past him. So there is that, but again, that is a half race's worth of points. So that probably can't be your number one goal going into the night. If there's a new winner, that's the problem really there. Buescher, technically, Buescher could get in on points next. Well, no, he couldn't. He would have to, because he'd win. So yeah, Buescher can't get on points. So it's basically just win, baby. Like, that's what it is. The battle now, the only points battle you're looking at is 15th and 16th. The regular season one is sort of been blown up at the end here. The playoff one's been blown up. It's basically win, baby, which I think the 17 could do. But the point side of it too, I mean, it's just a half race worth of points. Yes, that can be made up easy at Daytona, but that's, again, better and easier said than done. So I think everyone's just going for broke next week. But here's the thing, with the minus 60, to a full race worth of points equals also a win with that. So there's no point. Like, if you finish second, got the stages and the fastest lap, you'd still miss out by 5 points. So yeah, he can't point his way in. He'd have to win his way in. It's literally everybody's just going to go all out next week. And I have a feeling that the Hendrick side of things, and I know Hendrick fans don't want to hear it, I have a feeling that all of Hendrick Motorsports is going to rally behind the 48 next week. The other three have wins. The regular season championship's pretty much locked up. Yeah, the points seeding and all that, like, they're not going to like nuke their race purposefully to help Bowman, but I have a feeling that Bowman is going to be the one that they're really going to be pushing to like, if Bowman is leading and the 2 or 3 of the Hendrick guys are behind him, or even one of them, they're not going to pass him. They're not going to pull out to pass. At least I don't think they would. I think that they're going to just ride it out with them. If they pull out to pass, it's when they know that only one of those two could win at that rate. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a Chevy even team order a little bit from some with that. But other than that, it's pretty cut and dry for next week. That you really don't have to do any math in your head for the most part. You really don't have to like wrap your mind around scenarios. It's simple. Win. It's a straight up race. And as somebody who's not the biggest fan of this format, I like that. Just go out and win, man. Like nothing else. Nothing else matters. This is like, I think truly is the only race of the year where literally everyone's going to say, F it, we ball. And I like that. So yeah, no math. I'm good at math. So like, I actually like doing the math during the broadcast, but I totally get people not wanting to do math next week. Looking at some of the other things, I mean, just to kind of finish it up, there was a lot of pit issues. I talked about Bubba Wallace earlier. Smart move on their part, and on his part too, to stop, make sure that the tire hit his car and didn't fly somewhere else so that they could change it in the 19 pit. Completely ruined his race. But Denny Hamlin had long pit stops tonight and speeding penalties. Christopher Bell had issues like that, among others. Tonight was very much a night you saw I think you saw the pressure of having to get everything right hit everybody. I think that's really where it was with that. I think everyone felt the pressure of like, oh my God, everything's going wrong. We need to make sure we nail every single little aspect of this. And with that, I think you saw people that don't normally screw up. And those are going to be the ones I think that, those are going to be the things that ruin seasons in the next 11 weeks. Maybe not Daytona, but the ones after it. So those are little things to watch. And same with like the pick gun problems, different things like that. Hocevar had tons of issues tonight that cost him a chance of going for the win. So I'm just saying, as we get into September, October, like that's going to be stuff that you look at. And yeah, I mean, Ty Gibbs, he had brake issues tonight. At one point they showed there was a little fire in there. I think it was just burnt up rubber and stuff. It didn't seem like it was too awful, but that car, had some issues. So that'll be something to watch too at tracks that you use a lot of braking at in the coming weeks and months, because if that happens when you're in a tight points battle, you're done. You can't end up losing 20 spots and expect stuff to just go all right. There were others that didn't have great sides in the pits or had different penalties. I know Chase Elliott did with his like the interference penalty, among others. I think one of the Spire ones did as well. I think McDowell might have had an issue at one point. I could be wrong. Could have been host. I could be completely wrong though. Knows, but just those are things that got to get ironed out for those guys competing. But all in all, man, like I don't really see a huge negative of tonight, of the race itself. If we're looking at the race itself, I don't see a negative. I see a really enjoyable, great run of a night, an 8 or a 9 out of 10 kind of night. I think this, I know everyone loved the Atlanta race. I liked it. Don't get me wrong. I still think though, this is probably the best race we've seen this season, actually, since the 600. The 600, I think, is still race of the year. I think that was the best race of this season. But I think this one was the best since. This is the best race since the end of May. So, hey, I know some might not be as positive as me on this tonight, but I can't help it. I had a great time. You know that litmus test they give you when like a race is borderline of like, did I waste my time? I didn't waste my Saturday night. This to me was like, this was worth staying up late on a Saturday night. This is worth, having the checkered flag fall damn near at 10 o'clock at night, my time, 11 Eastern time. Now that's where I'm at with that side of it. We're not even judging really on the was it worth it side. It totally was. I loved it, man. I loved it. Let's finish off here with the Super Chat cooldown lap. Just a reminder, we have a ton of stuff going on this week. I'm going to put probably a video out tomorrow. I don't know if y'all saw the news, but and I've kind of sat on this because I've known this for about a month now, of O'Reilly Auto Parts is pretty much looking to be the new headlining sponsor of what is now the NASCAR Xfinity Series with Xfinity coming out. I've known that they were the front runner for a while, but there was a bidding war, or at least a bit of a bidding battle for it. I had a few sources talk to me about it. That I think at one point, I think maybe Freeway Insurance was a possibility. But I think they're going to be going to a driver. I thought I heard might have been Ty Dillon. I'm not sure. I think so though, especially with the news of him pretty much re-signing for next year. But I'll put a poll out on that one for you guys. Yes, no, or wait and see. And I'll just be honest. Do you like the new name? And then I'll just put NASCAR. And from what I heard, it's going to be the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, like the full name. To me, that's going to be a lot to get out of, to talk and say. I don't know. So like next year when I do post race streams, if it's like Daytona, do I do the, I right now I do like Daytona 500 post race, Daytona Xfinity post race, Daytona truck post race. Do I just do Daytona O'Reilly post race? I feel like, I very much feel like, and I think Eric put something out similar with this, and I'm on the same wavelength with this. This very much seems like the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series era for the Xfinity, now O'Reilly series. I really wish they would have just done like the, NASCAR O'Reilly series or the NASCAR Grand National Series presented by O'Reilly Auto Parts or something like that. I'm really not on it, but to be fair, when this series has been renamed before, I wasn't all in on it. So like, I'll give it a chance. Cause I remember when they renamed it the NASCAR Nationwide Series, I was like, I don't like that. Like NASCAR Busch Series, it rolls off the tongue a lot better. And then I remember when they renamed it to NASCAR Xfinity Series, like, well, I got used to Nationwide, or I still call it the Busch Series today, or my grandpa still calls it Grand National today. And I totally get it. But I was like, Xfinity, I don't know, man. Like, because for a while, I remember people be calling it the Infinity Series because people couldn't pronounce Xfinity for a while. And I've gotten so used to Xfinity over the last decade and plus that now I'm kind of like, the O'Reilly series, I'm not going to call it every week the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. I'm sorry. I'm not saying that 3 times fast. But I could see like the O'Reilly series. I'm wondering if they're going to do something like Xfinity Fastest Lap, if they're going to be like as reliable as O'Reilly Auto Parts. Like if they blow an engine, though, we weren't as reliable as O'Reilly Auto Parts tonight or something. Or if they're just going to leave that in the past to die. I really hope they do, because I hate hearing like, oh, it's fast as Xfinity Internet. Like Xfinity Internet isn't that fast. And a lot of weeks you're the fastest series when you compare to the next gen. So I don't want to, I mean, that could work. O'Reilly National Series could work. Again, I'll give it a shot, right? I'm not gonna like knock it down and ding it before I fully hear it. But it's not a good start, I guess is the way I'd put it. And I'm looking at the poll right now. And it's somewhat even. I gave it 3 options. So do you like the new name NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series? 26% of y'all saying yes, 36 to 37 saying wait and see, 38, 37 saying no. So again, I think we're all kind of just trying to process it. And I'm pretty sure I'll make a video about it tomorrow. A lot of stuff going on this week. Going to be live on John's channel for NWP 400 tomorrow night. That's always a lot of fun. I know Eric and Danny will be hanging out in the chat too. I'll be co-commentating with John. So we'll be communicating, talking to you, all that. We got a lot of stuff cool coming your way. A lot of preparation been put into it. NWP on Eric's channel this Wednesday as well. A lot to talk about there for sure, especially there's a lot of silly season stuff still coming out. So, and schedule stuff. Also, I saw the tweet today that if you're going to Daytona next week, that they're announcing the cover driver for NASCAR 25 at Daytona, it sounds like, in the fan zone. So keep an eye out for that. I think it's next Friday before the Xfinity race. About the last 11 weeks, we can call it Xfinity race. So there's that. And there's a chance, for at least the rumor that was going around a little bit, that the schedule is either out this week or next. I think though it's supposed to be this week. But of course stuff changes. It could get postponed another 3 weeks for all we know. So seems like we're going to have a pretty damn big week coming up. And it seems like we pretty much know what the schedule is already. Like if you watch my schedule prediction video outside of the Dover All-Star race, which I'm not a fan of, sounds like we know what the schedule is going to be. Let's go to the Super Chat cool down lap tonight. I appreciate you guys being very generous. We got a lot to go through. So we'll start out here with a few that were before the stream. Jeffrey says, Elliott was 3 inches from being back in it. 3 inches is a lot, man. Totally clip that. Gooby's Fun Zone says, I already see people online saying that Bush right hook Chase. I mean, by technically, yes, but not intentionally. I know what they mean and they're wrong. Bobby Blair saying that's probably the biggest middle finger Austin Dillon could give. The guy's always had talent, and he's been stuck at RCR. Hell yeah. Complete legit win right there. Totally legit win. I don't want to see a bunch of hate thrown his way because he totally earned that. And if it was just about any driver out in the field that did that, we'd be like, attaboy, great job. Or if it was somebody that normally does it, we'd be like, oh yeah, okay, whatever. Jeffrey here says, I am angry Dillon should not be in the playoffs, but he won legitimately. Playoffs win and in sucks. Gutted for RFK. Elliott DNF. Congrats, Dillon. Yeah, again, I'm not a fan of the playoffs really in any facet, especially the win and in, but them's the rules, and he did it legitimately. Can't take this one away. We can't take the eligibility away. Blake says, let's go Austin Dillon fair and square this time. Yeah, I'm feeling we got a lot of people on the same wavelength here. Matthew saying 8.5 out of 10. Can't believe he went back to back. This is also his first win without controversy. Wow. Also love you and the guys' content. Y'all, please keep it up. Definitely will. And very true. It is his first win without a huge controversy. When you look at all the other ones you look back at, I mean, I guess maybe the 600, but like if you're even counting maybe the fuel mileage side that people don't like, but yeah, I mean, hey, I like it. I like it. This is the most likable Austin Dillon win. Austin Dillon beats the allegation, says AJT. Let's see. Yeah. So he did totally. Let's see. J-Man says when Dodge goes to Cup, they need to recreate the Goon Lord incident for the announcement. I don't think they will. But I think there's going to be an announcement soon on Dodge. There's going to be a lot of news coming up. So definitely tune into this channel, these streams, NWP. The rest, I have a feeling like we've had a very slow news cycle year compared to other ones. And trust me, I've been covering the sport. Sorry, there's a bug there. I've been covering the sport for 8 years now on this channel and on these shows. This has been the slowest probably year that I've covered news-wise of my career. I think it's going to go to warp speed the last 11 weeks of the season. I think even the off season is probably going to have some crazy stuff too. Let's see. Max here saying first legit win for him. No wrecking or cheesy strat. No, I mean, he fair and square. Tyler, I knew you'd be in here, man. I knew once I saw the William Byron stuff, you'd be in here saying, Willie B clinched the regular season championship in big letters. Again, well earned. He's been very consistent this year. And I could argue he'd be one of, if not the favorite to look at for Daytona next week. Just saying. Real SW saying absolute brutal for 23-11. Yeah, I mean, that is a brutal night. You know, I'm looking and they finished Bubba Wallace 28th, Corey Heim 29th, Riley Herbst 31st, 34th, Tyler Reddick. So yeah, absolutely brutal. Josh saying the point system continues to be a joke, but let's effing go 3. Agree on all counts. Right there with you, man. Colonel Waffle saying, I hate the man, but he made me $380 richer tonight, so I'm not going to complain. No, that's been me with a lot of people over the years where I'm like, I'm not the biggest fan of you, but like you won me money. Or like with Austin Cindric, I kind of like you, but you won me over $1,000 by winning at Gateway. So like, I'm always going to like you now. Pack fan says Kyle can't stop wrecking the most popular driver here. Yeah, I put a tweet out saying that if Kyle Busch had got any goodwill back from Richmond fans since 2008, he lost it. He wrecked it in turn 4 tonight. I don't know. I guess ball don't lie for Austin Dillon, says Derek. Ball don't lie, man. Ball don't lie. Justin Drake says Austin Dillon's win tonight reminds me of Mike Joy in 2011. Smith gets the flag, and this time he gets to keep it. For Dillon, it keeps for Dillon, the keep it means round of 16 exit ticket, but love the middle finger W for Dillon. I mean, I gotta say, there's been some interesting winners getting in. And there's been some that are floundering right now. He might not be a first round exit. It'll be closer than I think people give him credit for. Polish Victory Lap says Cindric top 5 at a short track, 8.5 out of 10 race. In my opinion, wonder what happened to Blaney's long run speed. I think he just overcooked it at the end. He even talked about how he's not really the greatest at taking care of tires, and that's what you need to do tonight. Like Dislike says, raise hell, praise Dale. RCR is alive and well, AD3. Definitely tonight it is, and it was a much-needed win. Bobby Blair, Austin Dillon being in the playoffs is kind of dumb, but got to give an attaboy to Dillon. Won it fair and square. Playoffs are dumb. Now, I'm with you. Again, I'm with you guys on that. I think everyone who's been a longtime viewer of this channel knows that's where I stand on pretty much all of it. I will say, reminder, I'll be live after every race the rest of the season. Next week, definitely going to be here in person. The Southern 500, I'm going to be going back up north to visit family the week after. So of course, you know, if you've watched for years, Southern 500, I'll be live at my fantasy football draft, be live at my grandparents' house for the Trucks and Xfinity. But if you like it, if you're having fun tonight, or if you just want to bitch when stuff goes wrong like I do, subscribe to this channel. I got this place for you. It is right and ready for you. CR John saying blue collar win. Jokes aside, this was easily the most impressive win of his Cup career. I'd say of his career, because a Cup win is so much more impressive to me than an Xfinity or truck win. Dr. Elk says, I think the chances of SVG making it through the round of 16 just got better. Let's be real. The 3 is all but a lock to be eliminated first round. More than likely, but again, still, they've been good at the past at some of these tracks, and they're similar. I would not say that it's going to be as easy as some say, though I do think it's more likely that he gets eliminated pretty damn quick. Either of them could. Max says 5 out of 10 race. So happy Larson got a 6th place finish. Playoffs still absolutely suck. I think it was way better than 5 out of 10. I'm going to disagree with you there, man. Napa Racing fan says Hope Chase returns the favor to Bowman at Daytona. Yeah, I mean, Bowman definitely needs a push, that's for sure. Lobo Gaming says appreciate the 99 pinballing the 54 and the 40 to the 45. Yeah, that's right. That did happen. There was a lot of pinballing tonight. Again, classic Richmond, man. Classic Richmond. Hoosier saying Kyle Busch saw that Chase and Chase double combo. That's right. He did take both the chases out. That was freaking brutal, man. Like, there's no defending that. I'm sorry. I saw some Kyle Busch fans trying to defend it. There's no defending that. That was awful. Joshua Boston saying Austin Dillon gets the flag, and this time he'll get to keep playoff eligibility. Absolutely a well-deserved win for him. Yeah, totally. I don't think you can hate on him in any way unless you just hate the guy. Justin, another one here saying sometimes there is just a vibe to paint schemes, and that Dillon car just looked bitchin', not cheeks bitchin'. And like they say, look good, feel good, play or race good. Yeah, it was a good looking scheme. That should be the primary that they have. Polish Hardware Store, I'm sorry, saying last 2 short track races for Cindric have been good. Yeah, I mean, just saying, man, I think he's better than people give him credit for. I think the round of 16 is going to actually be very interesting this year. I'm just saying. Andrew saying the 3 didn't dump 2 cars in turn 1, but Kyle Busch did, or turn 4, you should say. Probably turn 4 is what you meant. But yeah, an RCR car did 2 years in a row. Andrew saying this car is terrible. Time for rebuild now. I don't think this is a bad race. I think the car is bad. I think it's terrible. I agree. I don't think this race showed that. Matthew Rose saying, by the way, I can't lie. I'm very worried for Bowman. If he can't win at Daytona, I want Carson or Busch. Who would you want as a wild card winner at Daytona? I'm biased. A friend of the channel, Carson Hocevar, winning would be awesome. I'd probably literally send him a DM like, congratulations. You want to come on the show and just like give him a big middle finger to everyone that hates you? BCM saying the most evil part of me wanted Logano to wreck the 3. I mean, I guess it would be somewhat fitting. Napa Racing Fan says blue collar team won. Busch is washed. Yeah, blue collar won. You know, it's funny we made it the meme this week. Gavin says Goodyear again saves the next gen at Richmond. Thank you for the 37-month member chat. And yeah, we gave a lot of props to Goodyear, and they are very deserved ones at that. Derek says Busch are missing the playoffs, while top 10 in points would be crazy. Also, Ware spinning while in last was another example of Ware shitty driving, and he failed to crash the 42 when he tried to do it. But yeah, we've seen top 5 guys miss the playoffs. That's just the way the system is. Points at the end of the day really don't matter. CR John says, hasty exit in the first round, Ellie Productions. Yeah, him and I always put out similar videos around the same time, and it's going to be interesting to see how we differ this time around. Because I think we're going to. I think a lot of people are going to differ on our predictions this time around. Let's see. Max for the Canadian 2 saying, idea on playoffs, top 10 in points, last 6 spots on wins. I could get behind that. I could. Joshua Boston, interesting fact, Austin Dillon led 107 laps en route to victory tonight at Richmond. Last driver to do that with the same amount of laps led Dale Earnhardt in the 98 Daytona 500. Damn. My grandpa was at that race. Grandpa, if you're watching, I know you're going to totally brag up that, and I would for the rest of my life too. That is wild. If that, I'd have to how do you know that? K Pro says that was some blue collar driving. Hashtag I stand with AD. That the blue collar thing is going to be so much fun this week. Hunter Nixon fishing race was 7 out of 10 for me, but far and away the best short track race of the season. I'd argue it's up there as one of the best short track races of this next gen era. Austin, good to see you, man. Saying huge shout out to Austin Dillon. I'm all for being in the playoffs because it shows the hypocrisy of the championship legitimacy. Hopefully brings change. Plus AD seems like a genuine good dude. I think he does get overhated personally. It's fun with the memes, but he gets overhated. Justin, damn, what a fitty. With a fitty. Surprised the Toyotas weren't a factor to win, but then Nepo and Suarez were up to typical antics. Busch was distracted, thinking about the good old days, plowed Briscoe to cause the big one, which caught Hamlin and Bubba's luck with those loose tires. Yeah, the Toyota guys probably 9 times out of 10 compete in this race, but you're right. I mean, so many things had to happen to get in that way that that's probably what caused so much of it, unfortunately for them. Indy Carson, good to see you, man. Jamie Little is great for Fox Trucks. Since I never watch, I'm getting rid of all motorsport channels except local since I only care for NWP hosts. Well, might miss some pretty good races, but hey, I'm glad you watched. Austin, another one says, I'm an Elliott fan. I'm cool with what happened. Yeah, I think it was an accident. I think it was. Good to see you. Beast of Metal says, anyone see footage of Elliott's vehicular interference infraction? That call led to him being swept up in that wreck. But if TV showed it, I must have had my back turned. That would be a big miss, even given NBC was sloppy tonight. I think they were a little sloppy. They've been a little sloppy all year. I think they did show it, though, at one point. I thought they did. Hunter Nixon Fishing says Kyle Busch is more washed than 2015 Tony Stewart. I don't know about that far, man. Tony Stewart was pretty bad those last couple of years. Austin saying, can we please address the need to make NASCAR more affordable for teams so that they can give the sponsors a break? It costs too much to sponsor a cup car. Look at all the lost sponsorship over the years. Yeah, I've talked about it in videos, and they have talked about that's part of the cost cutting side, but let's be real, teams are not going to cost cut. This is just an unnecessary, or not unnecessary. That's a necessary evil in racing. Joshua Boston said, you said last week I overreacted to Larson's recent performance, and it seems you were right about that. I humbly stand corrected. That's the thing. I've watched the sport for a while. I've seen guys ebb and flow. If they're really, really, really awful, not getting top 10s or even top 15s at tracks they're good at, then you really start to worry. I'm not worried. It's just he's not at that high level he's been in the past. Austin saying, I work for a major corporation who currently sponsors a competitive car. I can say confidently the ROI is almost non-existent right now for everyone. That is true. And that's been a thing for a while too. You're not wrong in any way on that. Head in the Clouds saying will be hilarious if the 48 doesn't make the playoffs. The allegations of who's going to be in the 48 will go nuts with that. The Alcorn guys saying receives 3 GM Goodwrench t-shirt in the mail today. Doesn't pull the trigger on putting Dylan in the fantasy lineup. Should have known. Good race. Hey, I got a lot of 3 shirts too. Bobby Blair saying underdog win like this, or underdog wins like this in the 90s and 2000s were praised. Now they're discredited and looked down on due to the playoffs. Yeah, that's why I was not going to focus on that. Well, let's credit him for what he did right and well tonight. Vikings all day for the 5, Skull, saying he gets the checkered flag and playoff spot, and this time he gets to keep it. Big time needle move. That's going to be the quote all week. Justin saying average Chase Elliott moment. Help my teammate make a pass or ask him to push me. Hey, Bowman, push me. Hey, it would help Bowman if any of his teammates won. Any repeat winner would help Bowman. Napa Racing fan says, sorry, Dale Jr. Richmond should only have 1 day. I do agree. I think most tracks should have 1 date. I think it helped Richmond immensely tonight with feel, sell out, all of that. Austin saying sad news is even though the race was good with it being on night race on USA Network, plus it being Richmond, there's a very good chance this is the worst TV ratings of the season. Much love, Jared. You're not wrong. I mean, the data proves it. If it's a Sunday night race next year, we could see a real big needle move on that. I'm the GOAT 8848 saying, I don't know how to feel right now. Just feel good and enjoy the racing, man. It was a good race. Now, I'm not telling you to enjoy bad racing. Enjoy the good racing. Austin saying, look at the graveyard of sponsors that left when they could. We need to make NASCAR affordable for the teams. Don't overly rely on sponsor money. I agree on that, but the issue too is the sport's just not as popular as it used to be. So those big Fortune 500 companies, they're not going to be coming and knocking anymore. Like there's a lot of aspects to that you got to look at with this. So Dr. Elk, another week, another playoff format debate. Only one thing is certain. The only thing NASCAR fans hate more than change is the way things are. We're going to have the talk, or at least bring it up, but I'm not going to overly focus on it. Like, I'm sorry. I'm just not. You can look back on the last however many weeks, months, years. We'll have plenty of time to do it the rest of the year. I'm just not going to waste my breath on it. I'm going to enjoy the underdog moments when they come, just like I did with Harrison Burton last year. This isn't just an Austin Dillon thing. I did it with Harrison Burton. I enjoyed the greatness of Shane Van Gisbergen. I'm not going to do the same fucking thing again. I'm sorry. I'm getting sick of it. And this is someone who hates the playoffs. I'm getting sick of bashing on the playoffs because we do it the same time, or the same stuff, the same thing every year. I'm not doing it this time. I'm not like I'm going to enjoy it. I had fun. I'm going to enjoy it. You look like the Dillon brothers, honestly. I look like the missing, really, really good looking one. Bobby Blair saying Austin Dillon is our Jamie McMurray. Wins at the most random ass times and is inconsistent everywhere else. Jamie was better though. You're not wrong. He's very much Jamie McMurray coded. Finishing off the last couple here. Pac Fan says, do you think Chase Elliott is an early playoff exit? No. I think he's consistent enough to get through the first 2 rounds. The round of 8 is going to be the trouble spot, in my opinion, especially with Talladega. Jay Tinsel says Austin Dillon winning reminds me of how all right. I'm happy you like your stepmom. You got me on that one, man. You got me on that one. Beast of Metal with the 5 says, I had my back turned. I found the footage shortly after the restart. That penalty was clearly and deeply deserved. All-time brain spasm by Elliott. All right, cool. Call it as is, man. That chat was pretty funny. I'll give him that. And Caleb's calculator, last super chat of the night here, says, as far as the networks getting their way, yes, that's the way it will be. The France family or not, the networks won't sign billion-dollar deals if they don't get their way. No deal, no broadcast. Yeah, it's true. It's true. But eventually our ROI has not really been showing it the last 15 to 20 years. We have plenty of time to talk about all that later and have funny ass super chats like the earlier one that came that, needs to chill. But thank you guys so much for coming on out tonight. I appreciate it a ton. Y'all waiting an hour after we're still chilling with hundreds of y'all. Absolutely love all of you and enjoy your company every single week. Just bringing racing fans together. Absolutely have to love that. We'll be live on Eric's channel Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time for NWP. We'll be live at 8 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow night for the NWP 400, our blockbuster iRacing event of the year. $1,000 to win. It's well worth the fun. Definitely check that out. And then we'll be live next week after Daytona and the last 10 weeks after that. So subscribe if you're new. Can't wait to see all of y'all through the week and next weekend as well as the rest of the year. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday night, or for some of you, as it's going to be midnight Eastern time, enjoy your Sunday morning, and I will see you very soon. So until then, have a good one. Later, y'all. Bye.